Hello everyone, welcome back to the most hardcore EA Sports FC tactical channel. In today's video, we will discuss how to strengthen a player's attributes, we call it SA from now on, to maximize their attributes. First, let's summarize some basic theoretical information about strengthening attributes, discussed in previous videos. Upon acquiring the 2nd to 5th player cards, or using crystals, you can achieve evolution. Each player can evolve up to 4 times. Upon evolution, you can get points for SA, Premium and Icon players get 4 points of SA each evolution, totaling 16 points. Seasonal players get 3 points each evolution, totaling 12 points. Regular players get 2 points each evolution, totaling 8 points. By using Strengthen Attribute Points, also called SAP, you can strengthen any of a player's basic stats. Each basic stat can be strengthened up to 5 points, and the basic stats obtained according to the number of strengthening points are as follows. The first SA obtains 300 basic stats, second SA obtains 250 basic stats, totaling 550 points, fifth SA obtains 100 basic stats, totaling 1000 points. The summary is in the table below. The in-match stats are calculated by basic stats. The most important in-match stats are attacking category, shooting, dribbling, and passing, defending category, blocking, tackling, and intercepting, goalkeeping category, punching and catching. Other in-match stats, like stopping and clearing, occur during aerial duels in the penalty area. Since there are no corresponding skill moves, they are not important in the game. The calculation method for important in-match stats is in-game shooting equals shooting times 100% plus power times 25% plus speed times 10% plus technique times 15%. In-game dribbling equals dribbling times 100% plus power times 10% plus speed times 25% plus technique times 15%. The summary is in the table below. Although in the early stages of the game, the number of players we obtain and crystals are very limited, making it very difficult to evolve players. As resources accumulate and the number of draws increases, we will inevitably encounter the part of strengthening attributes. After familiarizing with the above content, the detailed discussion of today's video officially begins. Firstly, if only focusing on strengthening one attribute, let's discuss non-goalkeepers first. The situation of strengthening only one attribute is relatively simple. We use strengthening shooting as an example to explain. In-game shooting equals shooting x 100% plus power x 25% plus speed x 10% plus technique x 15%. Strengthening shooting, power, speed, and technique all improve in-game shooting. The investment return table for each point of strengthening attribute is as follows. There are up to 16 SAP. You can strengthen in the following order. First, max out 5 points in shooting, then 3 points in power, then technique 2-, power 1-, speed 1-, technique 1-, speed 1-, power 1-, technique 1-, speed 2-, technique 1-, speed 1. In the process of strengthening, the investment return rate becomes lower and lower. Each SAP corresponds to the following attribute strengthening. Each SAP corresponds to the total attribute strengthening in the following diagram. Theoretically, a single in-game attribute can be increased by 1500, but it requires 20 SAPs, and the actual maximum SAP is only 16 points, so the maximum single attribute improvement is 1440. The current game's single basic stats general data ranges from 6000 to 8000. We take 8000 as an example to calculate the SA improvement ratio, as shown in the following diagram. SA can bring up to 12% improvement to a player's single attribute. In the later stage, each SAP can only bring about 0.2% improvement, and the cost effectiveness is very low. The marginal benefit decreases. Furthermore, the lower the basic stats, the higher the improvement ratio of SA, and vice versa. However, the significance of SA generally lies in strengthening the strong aspects of the players, not in compensating for the weak points. If there is data inflation in the later stages of the game, the strengthening benefits will be further diluted. Then for goalkeepers, the calculation of goalkeeper attributes is different from other position players. Take punching as an example for discussion. In-game punching equals punching x 100% plus power x 25% plus speed x 25% plus technique x 0%. Strengthening punching, power, and speed improves in-game punching. The investment return table for each SAP is as follows. The SA order is relatively simple. First, max out 5 punching, then invest in power and speed 1:1. In the process of strengthening, the investment return rate becomes lower and lower. Each SAP corresponds to the following attribute improvement. Each SAP corresponds to the total attribute improvement in the following diagram. Goalkeeper's single in-game attribute can be increased by 1500, only 15 SAPs are required. The current game's goalkeeper's single basic stats general data ranges from 6000 to 7000. We take 7000 as an example to calculate the attribute strengthening improvement ratio, as shown in the following diagram. SA can bring a 14.3% improvement in goalkeeper's single goal-saving attribute. Since goalkeepers generally only have one attribute to be strengthened, either punching or catching, it is much simpler to strengthen than non-goalkeeper players. Secondly, if you need to focus on 2 attributes at the same time, considering the strengthening of 2 attributes is more complicated because the formulas for attacking and defending are different. So, we divide it into 2 strategies: focus on the total additional data and prioritize strengthening one attribute. If focus on the total additional data, according to the physics contribution, by the way, physics is the sum of power, speed and technique, it can be divided into the following situations. 1. The maximum physics contribution to the main attribute is 50%. Refer to the chart we talked about in the beginning. This situation only occurs when you choose to strengthen specific one of each attacking and defending attribute, such as passing plus intercepting. One SAP to technique can give them both 25% increase, in total is 50%. Same thing happens to dribbling plus tackling, or shooting plus blocking, but this situation basically does not exist unless you want to mess around. At this time, the 4th SAP of the main attribute increase only 150 stats, which is equivalent to the first SAP of physics addition. That is saying you can choose to either strengthen only one of the main attributes, like shooting, passing etc., or the corresponding physics which is power, speed and technique, because they increase the same value of stats. This is only the situation that physics totally adds 50%, and there are still other situations. I put all of the combination onto this chart, you guys can have a look yourself. Let's assume one example, strengthening passing plus intercepting, a total of 16 points. Then the strengthening order is, prioritize investing 3 points in passing, 3 points in intercepting, then 1 point in passing, intercepting and speed, and the order can be random. Then the 10th SAP put in speed. Next is 1 point in passing, intercepting and speed, same story. Then 1 point in technique. Finally, 1 point in speed and technique respectively. The total benefit is, dribble 225, pass 1135, shoot 90, tackle 225, intercept 1135, block 90. The highest single attribute strengthening ratio is 79%. Above is the first situation, and the number 2 situation is you choose to strengthen the 2 attributes that both are in either attacking or defending, then the general total contribution of physics is 35%-40% at this time. Not like the first situation, the 4th SAP of the main attribute has a higher return, and the 5th point of the main attribute is also higher than the 2nd SAP of physics. Let's assume one example, strengthening passing plus dribbling. The strengthening order is, prioritize investing 4 points in passing plus 4 points in dribbling. Then 1 point in speed, 1 point in technique, they both increase 40% of total stats. Then 1 point in passing, dribbling, speed, technique, the 4 attributes increase completely the same, so order does not matter. Finally 1 point in speed, 1 point in technique. The total benefit is, dribble 1187, pass 1112, shoot 75, tackle 187, intercept 112, block 75. The highest single attribute improvement ratio is 82%. The strengthening ideas for other situations are the same as the examples above, and you can learn by analogy. The second strategy is to prioritize strengthening one attribute. This situation is more complicated because there are not enough SAPs to strengthen a single attribute alone, and the strengthening method also depends on which attribute you value more. You can strengthen based on your personal preference, or you can set a weight value. For example, strengthen passing plus dribbling according to the weight of 70% 30%, then you can allocate SAP according to the values in the following table. The strengthening order at this time is 4 points in passing, 2 points in dribbling, 1 point in passing, 1 point in speed, 1 point in dribbling, 1 point in speed, 1 point in technique, 1 point in dribbling and 1 point in technique, then 1 point in speed, 1 point in technique, lastly 1 point in speed. The total benefit is dribble 1125, pass 1135, shoot 90, tackle 225, intercept 135, block 90. The highest single attribute improvement ratio is 79%. I do not recommend goalkeepers to strengthen punching and catching at the same time. The most important thing for goalkeepers is the extreme value. It is advisable to prioritize one item. However, if you really want to take care of both, refer to this table and follow. Prioritize 3 points in punching and catching. Then the 7th, 8th, and 9th point in punching, catching and power, any order. The 10th point in power, then 1 point in punching, catching and power. The remaining 3 points in power, speed, technique. The total benefit is punch 1300, catch 1300. The highest single attribute improvement ratio is 87%. If you want to strengthen punching and catching with other weights, the calculation method is the same. In the above, we talked about strengthening 1 attribute, 2 attribute, then let's look at how to strengthen 3 attributes. You can refer to the following table. Still explain through examples. If I want to strengthen passing plus dribbling plus intercepting, the strengthening order is prioritize each 3 points of the main attributes, passing, dribbling, intercepting. Then the 10th point I would put in speed. Then 1 point in technique, 1 point in speed, then 1 point for each the main attributes. Lastly 1 point in technique. The total benefit is dribble 1037, pass 982, shoot 55, tackle 137, intercept 982, block 55. The highest single attribute improvement ratio is 72%. If you want to strengthen other 3 attributes, you can calculate in the same way. If you want to strengthen according to the ratio, you can multiply the weight coefficient yourself, and the calculation is the same. Last but not the least, how to strengthen 4 attributes, you can refer to the table below. The weight of physics is further increased, and when strengthening to the 3rd SAP, you should consider strengthening physics. Still explain through examples. If I want to strengthen passing plus dribbling plus tackling plus intercepting, you can refer to the table below. Ignore the calculation steps and directly display the calculation results as follows. The strengthening order is prioritize each 2 points of the main attributes, passing, dribbling, tackling and intercepting, a total of 8 points. Then 1 point in technique, 1 point in speed. And then 1 point for each of the main attributes, and 1 point of technique. Lastly 1 point in speed. The total benefit is dribble 887, pass 832, shoot 55, tackle 887, intercept 832, block 55. The highest single attribute improvement ratio is 62%. Similarly, if you want to strengthen other 3 attributes, you can calculate in the same way. If you want to strengthen according to the ratio, you can multiply the weight coefficient yourself, and the calculation is the same. In summary, if you only focus on breaking through a single attribute, the maximum attribute value that can be obtained is 1440, and the goalkeeper can break through the full 1500. If you want to break through multiple attributes, the maximum attribute value that can be obtained is shown in the table below. In general, how to determine the player's strengthening strategy, decide how many attributes need to be strengthened, and which attributes to strengthen, depends on the player's stats, skills, traits, and other factors, and also needs to consider the numerical design of the game environment. I can't give a universal formula, just simply discuss the most basic strengthening strategy. Some common strengthening recommendations are like pure shooter, maximize shooting strengthening. Dribble shooter or 1-2 shooter, strengthen dribbling plus shooting, passing plus shooting. Guessing shooter, strengthen shooting plus dribbling plus passing, shooting weight can be higher. Offensive playmaker, strengthen dribbling plus passing. Versatile midfielder, strengthen dribbling plus passing plus tackling plus intercepting. Blocker, maximize blocking strengthening. Anti-breakthrough defender, strengthen tackling plus intercepting. Versatile defender, strengthen blocking plus tackling plus intercepting, blocking weight can be higher. Goalkeeper, maximize punch or catch strengthening. Considering the player's stats, skills, traits, etc., if there is a particularly strong attribute, high stats, SS skills, certain traits, it is recommended to maximize the strengthening of this attribute, so that you can win through bullying in the duel, for example, passing, blocking, etc. If some attributes are significantly lower than others, then it is generally recommended to abandon these attributes. Attribute strengthening is an important way to improve player attribute. Even some players who are weaker in design may not be worse than the 0-stage evolved 0 SA players after 4-stage evolution and obtaining SAP. As resources accumulate and cards accumulate, the need to consider strengthening attributes will become more frequent. First, you need to decide the direction of strengthening attribute based on the characteristics of the players, and then refer to the strengthening attribute calculation method introduced in this video for strengthening. A good point is that if you don't like the current SAP distribution, you can use tactical point or the corresponding props to reset SA at any time, adjust and test the new strengthening attribute in the game. That's it for this video. If you have other ideas, please leave a comment for discussion. Thank you for watching, see you in the next video.